Now, just to make a distinction here, Sedevacantism is a viewpoint that the Holy See is no longer occupied by a valid officer, so to speak. It's the viewpoint that since the 1960s, after the enshrining of Vatican II, that there has not been a valid pope since, that the Holy See has been empty. Now, Sedevacantism differs from Old Catholicism in that Sedevacantism largely holds to the traditions that were set forth originally in Vatican I, which is that the Roman diocese basically rules over the entire Catholic Church. Their contention is simply that the papal edicts that were enshrined in Vatican II were contradictory to those enshrined in Vatican I, which they are. Sedevacantists are largely made up of Dominican followers. These are people that are under the Holy Order of St. Dominic. And to a large extent, I have some things in common with them. Their outlook regarding theology is more Augustinian than it is otherwise. There is a little bit of an Aristotelian philosophical tinge in their writings, particularly within the writings of St. Thomas Aquinas, Albertus Magnus, and other early figures in their holy order, which stemmed up at about the same time that the Union of Utrecht was first granted its autonomy by the Council of Churches. But I'm a bit unique amongst the Old Catholic Church in that I also agree with the Sedevacantists that the teachings of Vatican II are also heretical. Vatican II enshrines many different viewpoints that are held in common with Anabaptists, radical reformers, and enshrines some, not all, but maybe a few things that lean a little bit towards philosophical naturalism, particularly the allowance of teaching evolution in Catholic schools, more specifically the biogenesis/origin of species Darwinian evolution, which I personally believe to be 100% in contradiction with biblical teachings. So I'm in a unique position in that I oppose both Vatican I and Vatican II. For the most part, the Old Catholic Church doesn't really have much of an opinion on Vatican II. They do agree in the extent, and I agree with this also, that the vernacular language of the region that a church diocese is located in should be used or should be offered as an option for when conducting the Mass. I think it is incumbent on any church to make sure that the congregation understands what it is that they're being taught. And we had reached a point in the medieval period where most people were not fluent in Latin. That was the only language that was being spoken in the churches. And there were actually some priests that would go in and for the duration of the Mass would tell jokes in Latin. And the people in the congregation were not the wiser for it because they didn't speak a word of it. I think that Latin served its purpose as a primary language within the Catholic Church when most of the members were Latin speakers, but ever since it spread out into the further extremities of Western Europe where this language was not taught and not really understood by most people, its necessity kind of wore off. I still occasionally attend masses that are done in Latin, but truth be told, it's something that should be optional, not something that should be necessary. And until Vatican II within the Roman Church, Latin was the only language that the Mass was offered in.